program is powered by Tascam. Tascam's Mini Studio Creator US42 is your new personal production and online broadcast studio featuring a professional quality audio interface and a number of unique real-time effects. The Mini Studio Creator delivers everything you need for your podcast or webcast. Find out more at Tascam.com, part of the Gibson family of brands.
Live from the sewers, this is the Turtle Power Podcast.
This is your audio source for all the news, reviews, and insight into the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now join your hosts, Brian, Alex, and Darby.
Bossa Nova! What? Yeah? Bossa Nova? Chevy Nova? Oh. Excellent! Yeah! Yeah!
Now it's time for the Turtle Power Podcast.
Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Turtle Power Podcast. In addition to our normal news, reviews, and insight into the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we've also got some special guests. And if you heard from last episode, we hinted to it a little bit. This episode we have with us from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universe, Issue 6, writer John Lees and artist Nick Pitarra. But first, let's get into the news.
The authorities won't talk to us, but they might talk to a TV news reporter. How do I look?
Great!
General, April O'Neil, Channel 9 News. Channel 6 News.
So, what's with the getup? You a news reporter?
In another lifetime, maybe.
This is April O'Neil, Channel 6 News.
April O'Neil, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
This is April O'Neil, Channel 3 News.
So the first random news bite we have is that the official TMNT Twitter feed is now at TMNT. Wow, what a novel concept. So there used to be TMNT Master, right? And so now it's transferred over to TMNT. And an interesting thing actually happened just recently, and I wasn't the only one to notice. There was a recent poll that they put up, a nice little video that was basically asking which is your favorite animated version of Mikey. And they had both the, what I would assume would be the Classic 87 Mikey and the Nick Turtles Mikey. But they also included the 2003 version of Mikey, the much beloved 2003 series version of Mikey in there. And that was definitely noticed by not only me, but a lot of Turtle fans. So want to definitely send a shout out to Nickelodeon for recognizing, that great version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A lot of our listeners responded to the post as well with what their favorite version of Mikey animated was. So check out the responses over on our Facebook and our Twitter pages. So with that, let's get into video game news. So a bit of video game turtle news that didn't make just turtle news, but made video game news proper around at least the US, is that surprisingly, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, and more importantly, the more, surprising one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan, have both been removed from online video game sellers. So this would be for digital copies, obviously. Hard copies that are out there you can still purchase. But this is apparently a Activision licensing issue, and that they basically are not renewing their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles license. And I think there's some Spider-Man games that they're doing the same with. So, wow, with the news last episode of the movie franchise basically stalling out, and now we have the video game franchise basically stalling out. What does that leave us with the future of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video games? You know, it's really hard to say right now because we don't know if Activision is going to go after the license again, or if Activision is... there's rumors that Activision is actually getting out of the licensee business. So this might be a situation where Viacom and Nickelodeon might not have someone to pick up the license because what they're looking for is a quick nickel, right? They're looking for a payday. They're not really worried about the sales or the quality of the video game. They're looking at that licensee fee, right? So if there's nobody to pick it up, if there's nobody interested, then do we get more Ninja Turtle video games? You know what? It might be a situation where we have to wait a little while, and then someone comes along and realizes, hey, there's an untapped market here of Ninja Turtles, and with the obviously this franchise has a long history of video games and maybe a shorter history of really good video games, but nonetheless, there is so much untapped potential for the Turtles in the video game genre. So this might be a situation just like the movies where maybe this is good news in the long run, that we might have to wait a little while until we get something really good. I mean, we saw this happen just recently with the Spider-Man franchise, that they did not want, like the owners, which in this case Marvel Studios, did not want their franchise being screwed around with. Where people are coming in and not creating that top quality product that it deserves. So they basically took it back and said, all right, we're going to give this to somebody who can really do something good with it, and we're going to give them the time to make a really good game. And that's what's going to be coming out on the Sony platform here. I think it's later this year. I think it's later 2017, but so maybe it's the same thing with Turtles, that we have to just kind of wait a while, and maybe we'll get something really good. Maybe one of these higher level publishing studios or developers gets their hands on it and really makes the Turtle game that we need and deserve. So now let's get into TV news. So in a surprising move, Nickelodeon's actually already aired the completion of Nick Turtle Season 4 in South Korea? Yeah, actually back in December. So no spoilers here, but here is a release schedule for the rest of the episodes of Season 4 in the U.S. Episode 23 is going to be coming out February 5th, and then the next 3 episodes after that, 24, 25, 26, are going to come out in every week after that. And let's get into the names. I don't think these are too spoilery. All right. 23, Toka vs. the World. 24, The Tale of Tiger Claw. Now, I think that's probably the one that we've seen that animatic for a while back. 25 is Requiem. And 26, Owar. Owari. There's an I at the end. Owari. Not sure why it has taken over a year to finish this season, because I believe this started October 2015 in the U.S. But yeah, over a year to finish the season. But I'm glad it's coming back. As we're recording this, it's just a couple weeks away. Yeah, definitely looking forward to checking out these episodes. I know Brandon, Amin, and Ciro Nieli have been really pumping up the episodes online. So Really looking forward to checking these episodes out. To finish off this great this season's been fantastic. So it's been so hard waiting for these great episodes. And I should mention here that Luis Alan Rizzo, longtime listener, sent us a link to TV shows on DVD.com and another new release of the Nick Turtles on DVD, still not Blu-ray. But this is a 2-disc set that will cost suggested retail price of $16.99, and this is going to be basically Super Shredder, right? So this is kind of the season 4, and this is scheduled for a March 21st release. All right, so with that, let's get into collecting news.
From Playmates!
So there hasn't been a lot of proper collecting news since the last episode. I've been checking out the stores lately, and I got to tell you, the TMNT sections have not been too well stocked lately. Now, I don't know if this is just because leftover from the holidays and they just have not been able to restock yet, but it's not looking good. I mean, when I went to Target, they had basically nothing. I went to Walmart. They had a bit more. I went looking for the wrestling action figures, and I could only find one available. It was the Mikey who was dressed up as Macho Man. But we do have some news on that front, that there is actually going to be a second line of the WWE crossover figures. This one is going to have a Raphael as The Rock, Leo as Finn Balor, as the Demon Finn Balor. That one's really cool because he's so new to the main roster. There's going to be a Donatello as the Ultimate Warrior, and a Michelangelo as Roddy Piper. I will say that these Mega Blocks, these things are really gaining steam. Of course, I talked about the black and white Raph Mega Blocks little set a while back, but I really think these are really starting to pick up steam with collectors, with fans, because they're seeing that the creators there are really stepping up their game. They know this franchise really well, so check those out if you can find those in stores. The other bit of collecting news, it's not really news, but I did some research. Okay, so this research stemmed from a tweet we got from the Sewer Den, and he says movie novelization, sheesh, like there was even a script, and he tweeted out a picture of a novelization from TMNT Out of the Shadows. Now, I didn't even realize that they made a novelization of this film. He didn't have any other novels in his collection. So, because that was kind of my next question. I was like, are there other novels for others? So, this got me going, right? So, I did a bit of digging. And I have found what I think are every Ninja Turtles novel that has been made. Okay, now, going into this, I didn't know there was a single novel because I always compare to like the Star Wars franchise where there's so many novels, whereas Turtles was kind of always known for not having novels. So now, granted, several of these are novelizations, and you know what? Let's just get into it. All right, first one. I guess the first set is from the 1990 movies. All right, and these are all novelizations. So there was a novelization for the first 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. They were all written by B.B. Hiller. And they were released basically in conjunction with the films. They are anywhere from 100-ish pages to, right around 100 pages, I guess. Now, the third one, I actually don't know the pages. How many? I couldn't find that information out, but I assume it's in the same range there. All of these are available on Amazon as used copies. So we'll have links to all this stuff in the show notes as well. So if you wanna grab yourself a copy, very cheap, these ones, starting at a 1 cent. So they're out there and available. So the next set that I could find is for the animated 2003 animated series, right? So I had no idea they made novels for these. Now I think that, again, these are perhaps novelizations, but let's see. So the first one here is called Shadows Over Chinatown. It was all of these are paperback, I believe, every single one. This came out in January 2005, 128 pages. Used copies are available on Amazon, starting at a cent. This is by Steve Murphy, published by Simon Spotlight. Let's see, it says, the Turtles agree to watch over an old man in his store, but while on duty they discover something lurking in the store, which is evil and dangerous. Wow, what a plot. So that's novel 1. It actually says novel 1 on the bottom right corner, and it has Raphael on the front. Next one is novel 2, and this is City at War. So this is definitely a novelization. And 128 pages came out later in 2005, May of 2005. Again, used copies available. This was written by Michael Titelbaum. I hope that's how you pronounce it. And again, very easily accessible. I did order a copy of this, so it arrived. It is old, but it is. I'm looking forward to checking it out. It looks fun. It looks like it might be a good read. There's a third novel called The Littlest Ninja. Now, this one came out in 2006 sometime, but it is not available on Amazon, and I could not find it. I couldn't find it available anywhere, not on Amazon, eBay. It does have an Amazon listing, though, so it leads me to believe that it was at one time available for purchase. This was same author, Michael Titelbaum, and this one says, Baxter builds dangerous combat fighting machines to wreak havoc on the foot and destroy foot facilities. Risking their lives, the Turtles save a young boy from the explosions. Includes an 8-page color insert. Fantastic. Now, supposedly there was supposed to be one additional novel for the 2003 animated series, which was going to be called The Return of Shredder. We've all heard that title before. Again, supposed to be by Michael Titelbaum, but I think it got canceled because I can't find hardly any information about it. So, the next novel that we have is a novelization for the TMNT movie from 2007. It actually says adapted by Steve Murphy from the Kevin Munro screenplay. 128 pages. Used copies available for 1 cent. And then we have a series of junior novels based on the Nick Turtles, actually. These are published by Random House Books for young readers, so these are specifically designed for younger readers. Not super young, but more junior. I'm guessing probably Harry Potter level. So Mutant Origin, which is a Michelangelo Raphael, that came out in 2012, 128 pages, available for $5 on Amazon. Mutant Origin Leonardo Donatello, same idea, came out in August of 2012, 128 pages, also available on Amazon. Showdown with Shredder, let's see, 2013, 128 pages. These are all 128 pages, so weird. $5, Amazon. And Mutant Mayhem, same idea, 2014 in January, $5.69 on Amazon, so a little bit more expensive. Friend or Foe, this one's got Karai on the cover, and this came out in June of 2014, available for $6. Okay, we're getting more expensive now, I guess probably because they're newer. The Casey Chronicles, January 2015, 128 pages, $6. And there's actually what's called the Crime Fighter Collection, which collects the Showdown with Shredder, Mutant Mayhem, and the Friend or Foe. That's a combo. That one's $10, so you can save a little cash. Mutants in Space. This is tackling the Mutants in Space season from Nick Turtles. That came out in July 2015, 128 pages, $6. And The Rise of Tiger Claw. This one came out January 2016, 128 pages for $6. So I want to note a few things. All these Nick Turtles novels are available on Kindle as well for a reduced price if you don't want to get a hard copy. And also, don't confuse these with the series of Nick Turtles books published by IDW. There's another set that looks very similar, but these long-form books are comic adaptations of the episodes, using screenshots from the episodes. The IDW ones I'm referring to now. They're all, that's why they're made by IDW, because they're basically comic books, but they use screenshots from the episodes to basically go one for one, turn the episode into a comic book. So if you want a novelization, make sure you grab these ones here. Next are the last two. We have the novelization of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2014 film. This was also published by Random House Books for young readers. September 2014, 128 pages, $10 on Amazon. Also available on Kindle. And lastly, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadow deluxe novelization. That's funny. And I say deluxe because, note, the book ends before the Technodrome fight. So, yeah. That's pretty disappointing. So, next question is, do you know of any other TMNT novels? And do you have any of these TMNT novels? Let us know. Facebook, Twitter, email. You know how to get a hold of us. So, moving out of collecting news, we're heading into comics news.
I strike two on my way down. Donatello takes out a third with his staff. Already the pudgy ones are starting to panic. Raph loves this stuff. He's not alone.
Why is he narrating? Is he crazy?
Hardcore crazy. I love these guys!
So as far as new comic book releases, did want to mention Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 Artisan Edition hardcover from IDW. This is a reproduction of the very first issue from Mirage, scanned directly from the original art, and it's going to be available May 10th, 2017. Description reads, "This book reproduces all the original art to the first issue of one of the most important comic book phenomenon of the last 35 years, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, scanned directly from the original art, mimicking the experience of the original hand-drawn page, and also collecting all the layouts, also hand-drawn, by the creators of what has been called this generation's Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck." That's okay. Rounding out the volume is an extensive gallery of other TMNT images, also scanned directly from the original art. Hardcover, black and white, $50, 144 pages. And we've got a link to this in the show notes. Out now, IDW series issue 15 was released December 14th. Issue 66 is coming January 25th. Issue 67 coming February 15th. TMNT Universe #6 released January 18th. And we'll have more on that in here in just a few minutes. Issue 7 is coming February 15th. IDW Adventures, The Amazing Adventures is still on hiatus, but the Batman Animated and TMNT Adventures crossover #2 was released December 14th. Issue 3 is coming January 25th. Issue 4 still planned for February 22nd. On the Mirage reprint front, Tales of the TMNT Volume 8 is still out now. It's been out for a while. And Volume 9, which collects the original Volume 2 Tales issues 26 through 30, has been delayed and is now scheduled for a July 11th release. And on the Archie front, the TMNT Adventures Volume 13 paperback, which collects issues 55 through 57, is still scheduled for a May 9th release. And once again, note that the Archie Adventures went 72 issues, plus several special issues, seasonal, Mighty Mutanimals, April, etc. And now, on to movie news.
Yeah, 122 and an 8. 122 and an 8. Terrific. Where the heck is 122 and an 8?
You're standing on it, dude.
Well, the only bit of movie news, of course, coming out of last episode, is that the original TMNT movies 1, 2, and 3 are available to stream for free on Vudu. Now, if you haven't tried Vudu, it's a online video streaming platform like so many of the others. The difference with this one is that you can purchase or rent movies individually on a movie-by-movie basis. So it's not like a monthly fee. It's a movie-by-movie basis on renting. But there are some free ones, and included right now are the 1990, 91, and 93 films available for rent for free on Vudu. Now, let's get on to your mutated messages.
Sounds weird when he says it. Sounds weird when you say it.
So, musician and noted TMNT fan Jenkis actually reached out. And so it was actually pretty cool because I've actually seen some of his TMNT videos online before. So it was nice of him to reach out. If he's listening, hey. And he also says that he has a TMNT Out of the Shadows edit that he's come up with where he cuts out a lot of kind of extra unnecessary stuff. So I'd be interested if we wanted to see it. Yeah, I would love to see it. Send a link on over or whatever. I'd love to check it out. Tiger Claw 305, longtime listener, says if someone else does this is in response to last episode. If someone else does end up making a third movie, they should get the same actors who played the Turtles. They were great. The problem, I agree. I mean, the actors, I think, did a very good job. They were working with the, with the information that they had available to them. He also says the problem with Disney owning TMNT is that they would treat it like a kid's property. I don't know if I agree with that because they're not doing that with Star Wars or Marvel. They let them run independently. Michael Carl Naughton McWilliams says, one of my fave podcasts. Keep it up, guys. Thanks. We will. And in response to the 1990 film director commentary video that we have posted on our YouTube page, Mostly Harmless Podcast says, yes, I've been hunting for a Region 2 DVD for years. Not half-assed. Thanks for this. Yes, because that was the only way to access this commentary. So glad you enjoy it. Turtle Prime says, you guys are still alive. Damn. Yes, we are still alive. Vegan Sarni says, got the TMNT movie DVD on Christmas. Watched it on Monday. I enjoyed it overall, but there were things I would have definitely changed. Yes, us too. And Luke at Breeders91 says, picked up the Casey Jones from the Funko Specialty Series. It is too awesome. I agree. This is a fantastic Funko. Is that a thing? Fantastic Funkos? Well, it is now. Hey, everybody. That's their name. At IM3851919. This was actually pretty cool. They were tweeting us as they were trying to beat the original TMNT on NES, on Nintendo Entertainment System. And they were successful. Says, I beat TMNT on Nintendo. I worked my entire life for this. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And it sent some screen pics from the end of the game. I did not even know this happened at the end of the game, so that's pretty sweet. So with that, let's go into our very, very, very special interview.
Who the heck is that? Wayne Gretzky? On steroids?
Attack!
So, we we were just kind of joking. I don't think I'm going to have a hard time being able to tell who's who. So
I might have to have Nick translate for me during the podcast.
One sounds like a Scottish serial killer, and normal.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we can get right into it, guys. So joining us on the Turtle Power Podcast is this was really cool because John actually reached out to us and wanted to let us know that they'd be interested to come on the show. So joining us now are the writer and artist for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universe Issue 6. Just came out this week. John Lees and Nick Pitarra. Guys, welcome.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
John, this is your first TMNT work, is that right?
Yes, it is my first foray into the world of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it was a blast. I had a real fun time doing it.
It was a fun episode, look at that episode. I'm talking about it like it's an animated series. It felt like that. It felt like an episode of an animated series. It was a really fun episode. And Nick, you do have a little bit of background with the comic series. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of covers. I've probably done 10 to 15 covers or so for the series. I've done a little bit of sequential work in the Bebop and Rocksteady series that came out last year. Yeah, and it's cool that you said it's like an episode, because I think that's how I went in thinking about it with John, was like if it was an episode of a cartoon or something, like it was just a one and done type thing, and it was all kind of like maybe you didn't have to be completely caught up in the IDW universe just to pick it up and read it. As long as you're a fan of Turtles, it's kind of all complete as a one-shot story. So that's kind of cool that you picked up on that as well.
I think one of my favourite reviews that I read mentioned that they said that like reading it was kind of like the experience of picking up a bunch of like old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures and playing with them, which I thought was kind of a good idea.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. I've got some stuff about that later on, but you also did mention something too. This issue has been getting a lot of really good press. I've been noticing it all around the web. A lot of different websites have been talking about this issue. So congratulations are definitely in order. You guys both wrote the story together. I saw that in the credits. And Felipe was your colorist. Is that right?
Yeah, the incredible Felipe Sobrero is fantastic.
Yes, and we should also mention the backup story in the back, the Raphael story by Bram Revel.
Yeah.
And let's see. I guess do you guys want to give a? I've got the description here from the press release, but if you guys want to give a spoiler-free synopsis of what we can expect in this issue, if our listeners haven't read it already, which they probably should have.
Maybe it might be best if you do this, Nick, because they might be able to understand you better.
I think it's better if John does it in that sexy Scottish accent of his. So go ahead, John. Elevate that issue. Go ahead.
Okay, so Mikey is hanging out in the sewers with his bros, and he goes for a pizza, and he meets this young cop, Maureen Lynn, who is on a search for her missing brother-in-law, a utility worker who's gone missing in the sewers. So he gets caught up in this search for this missing person, and he ends up encountering something he didn't expect, this monstrous flatworm creature called Worm.
Yeah, that sums up the synopsis. Because it's true that I really want to be spoiler free, because this is a really good issue, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody. This was your first collaboration together too, right?
Yeah, me and John have kicked around a few ideas before, and I've read a few of his scripts that I really love. And he did a book called And Then Emily Was Gone that I was a big fan of. So I've been aware of him for a long time, and we've been buddies for a while, but we've never gotten to work together because most of my work is with Image Comics. I really don't have a lot of free time. But with this particular thing, the editor of Ninja Turtles at IDW is Bobby Kernell.
Yep.
And I want to say like over a year ago, he reached out to me and said that they might do a spin-off series where creators can come on and tell one-shot stories or just shorter stories, so you didn't have to commit to like a multi-issue run on the book, and you could do different things on the side. And at that time, I have read the series, but I'm not all the offshoots. I think there's 6 or 7 different micro series now and 60 something issues, and I was not caught up. And I had a rough idea, and then me and John got together. And so when you say it's the writer, I say that John is the writer. I just threw a bunch of shit at him, and then he had to kind of work it in. He also had to read the whole series in like a few weeks. So that's kind of how we got started working on it. I had just been a fan of John for a long time, and
I'd also been a fan of Nick's for a long time as well.
Yeah, I was looking on your website, John, and I did notice Nick's name did come up in some reviews and stuff. So that was cool. That was cool to see that history that you guys have almost from a distance. You know, it's really nice. Serendipitous.
He was buttering me up for like 3 years.
Oh, that's awesome. You mentioned Bobby. That was actually my next question. What was it like working with Bobby? He's been on the show before. Great ambassador for the Turtles franchise there.
My personal experience with him is he's been really, really good to me. Whenever I've gotten to work with him, he's always, he reached out to me when I wasn't getting a lot of work. I had just done a little bit of work in Image, but it was getting kind of popular, the work I was doing. And I think Bobby was a fan of that stuff. So he reached out to me and offered me work on a few Ninja Turtle covers, which was very flattering for me at the time. As an editor, man, he's really level-headed, offers really good story tips when we were struggling, trying to figure out solutions for stuff. I think he's like a true editor in the sense that he definitely has some say in the story and can guide the story to better places. I think some editors I've worked with are hands-off, or just make sure you get the stuff in. And he was pretty hands-on, but hands-on in a very good way, in a way that like when we were having troubles making something click, he threw an opinion out, and John had to make it work in the writing, and I had to make it work in the art, and I think the story was better for it. So he is, he's a good editor for me. I really enjoyed my experience working with him.
Yeah, I would have to echo that as well. Obviously, most of the stuff I've done up till now has all been like create your own stuff, where I've essentially been my own boss. And this was a new experience for me, working with an editor who was representing the publisher, and like as an introduction to that world, I couldn't have asked for a better person to do it than Bobby, who was really kind of good at kind of guiding me, and he gave me good information and kind of how to format scripts in a way that a publisher will find appealing and all sorts of stuff. And like Nick says, he was good at getting hands-on involved in the story, but he didn't take over or anything like that. He was really good at kind of like throwing out the ball and then letting you pick it up and do it in your own way.
That's really cool. That's really cool to hear that. He seems like he's very good at his job. I mean, just as a reader, you can tell that a whole series is in good hands. And obviously I think he's listening to you guys talk. It sounds like it's very similar to what he does with Kevin and Tom. When they're working on the main series too. So
It's a really, I know a lot of people love the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Universe, and so much, people don't realize how much power an editor has, because if a different person draws a story, a different person writes a story, like it all changes. And so what an editor is, his most powerful thing he's doing, he's curating talent and also story suggestions and stuff too, and keeping things in line with whatever the facts have been built up in the universe. But really the way he's curating the line is the most important thing. So if you like the IDW universe, you really got to tip your hat probably to Bobby first, because he's the one that's orchestrating it all,
For me, I think the analogy is a lot like a writer's room in a TV series, where especially when you have a franchise book like Turtles with lots of offshoots that all kind of feed into this one big brand, which has been running for years and through several creative teams. It feels like the writers and the artists and the colorists are all like part of like the writing staff in a TV show, but a writing staff all have that one showrunner who maybe doesn't necessarily script each individual episode, but he's always there and overseeing the general tone in the course of the whole thing. And that's very much what feels like Bobby's role is in things.
Yeah, he's driving the boat. He's I think he's definitely pointing in the right direction. Yeah, so you mentioned it. This is a Mikey centric issue. I even wrote, that's so funny, in my notes I even wrote episode. A Mikey centric.
The funny thing is, right, that I was at a signing yesterday, and this little kid came up to buy the book, and I was like, "What's your name?" And he was like, "Ben." And I said, "What?" And I just said, I was trying to make conversation. Said, "What's your favourite turtle?" And then like it was a little pause, and he's like, "Michelangelo," and I was like, "Thank God." You know, like he said something else, and you're disappointed, kid. Sorry. I was like, "You're in luck, kid. Michelangelo's the only turtle in this book."
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I guess there's the no spoilers, but there's some, I guess, little flashbacks. But so any specific reason for a Mikey centric episode? Look at that episode issue. Oh my gosh.
Well, for me, I think my favorite turtle as a kid was Michelangelo. When I was in 4th grade, I begged my mom for a Ninja Turtle toy for my birthday, and I said, "That's all I want. Just make sure you get that." And then she literally only got me that toy, which I was happy to get. But I was like, I had like a Chuck Norris toy at the time, and I had to like have them two fight.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't really have a bad guy to fight, Michelangelo with. But anyway, so I always liked him, and I don't know. I think John read up, and there was a break in the story where a while back in the IDW verse, Michelangelo was on his own anyway.
Yeah.
And so John was able to work it in, but he was already, so by the time we started working on it, but he was already back by the time our issue came out. So Bobby had to come in and be like, we had to shuffle a few things. He had to go be getting pizza or something. I forget how John worked it out
It was quite interesting because, like, when we started working on it, we're scripting it, this was at the time when Mikey was still alone in the sewers, and we had the whole idea that it was going to be like Mikey was kind of living by himself in the sewers when he encountered Worm, and through the process of fighting Worm, he started to realise the value of the family that he'd been split up with and things, and it had all these kind of elements which we were quite pleased about. And Bobby was like, "This is really good, but I think in 3 months, like, Mikey's going to be right to the Turtles, so you can't do that."
Yeah, it's very true. Now, thinking back, like, yeah, that I can see where that all kind of fell into place there. Yeah,
I think it was from a character perspective, because especially in the comic series, Mikey feels very much like the youngest turtle. He has that almost childlike, kind of innocent quality to him. So I think he felt like he was the person who was most likely to be afraid by the monster in the dark out of all the 4 turtles.
That's that's good. I like that. Yeah, it's interesting to see that how. Because it is true, Mikey is, I guess he's more the idealistic too, because he's younger and naive maybe to the, maybe all the things that are going on around him, but he's still very idealistic. So, even from just earlier, I think that was issue 4 where him and Raph are talking, and he's trying to just talk to them about why are we doing this, why are we fighting these fights, and everything like that. So yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Let's see, I wanted to talk about some of the other characters in this issue. Where did the idea of utilizing the character Worm come from? Because Worm has a history with the Turtles, obviously, but how did you guys come up with using this character?
I think you spearheaded that, Nick, didn't you? I think it was like you were the first German idea of using Worm.
Well, we knew the story was going to happen down in the sewer, I guess, and I kind of liked the idea of that. With my own personal art, I usually use a style called clean line style, where I don't spot a lot of shadows. But with this, since it wasn't my main work, I wanted to try to use heavy shadows. And since whenever we started planning out the issue, I wrote down some things I would like it to be. So if I knew it was going to be a one-shot, I wanted it to be relatively important, and I wrote either I'd love to introduce a new character into the line, like from back in the day, and I wanted to maybe work in shadows down in the sewer. And there was just a few guidelines I wanted to do. And so we had to find a bad guy that was sewer-based. And there's only a handful that haven't been used that were still down there. And Worm fit the bill. And then we researched Worm a lot. And I really loved one, the toy design, which I think is reflected, the original toy design, which is reflected in the new design that I did. I referenced that heavily, but made it my own. And then the other thing was, John is known in his other writings to write horror stuff. He's kind of a comic horrors writer, not mainly, but some of his more popular stuff has been that way. So I thought this would be really cool if it was like a one-shot mini horror story, maybe. And with it being down in the sewer, and with it now being Worm's original Archie appearance, then the Archie Comics Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line, I guess it's Turtles Adventures. He shows up one time, and he's like super vicious, and he like has a suction thing, and he kills one of the other bad guys, and it's a very jarring kid, like for a kid comic or a kid-friendly comic, it's a very jarring appearance, and so it sticks out in a lot of people's mind as fans of that series. So I wanted our issue to be kind of the same, like this kind of a darker, overbearing, weird villain, to echo his appearance in Archie Comics, and the design-wise echo his original kind of goofy toy. So there's this weird balance in the comic where it's kind of goofy but kind of dark. I don't know if the tone is consistent because of that, but that's kind of the general idea behind it. And I wrote down a few things that what Turtles meant to me before we started, when we were brainstorming, and I wrote, they were in the sewers, they're brothers, they have a shell, they use their shell for protection, and then I was thinking about, them hiding in their shell and stuff, and then there was a metaphor there about how the sewers acted like a shell for the turtles because they can hide, they can be protected. I thought it'd be really cool if a villain was in the sewers and was like, you think you're hiding, but you're not. Kind of like if you walk onto a turtle in real life and they tuck their head in, but you can still see them.
Yeah.
Like what if a villain had that perspective? Like, oh, you think you're hidden down here, but I see you. Like that kind of thing. And then from there, I took that and kind of just shoved it to John, and John, wrote the story around it. So really, I came up with some general stuff I wanted to play with, and John did all the writing. So.
And Nick did say that, he presented this idea with me about, the idea of, the shell, and the idea of, the sewers being, the turtle shell, and they're not as safe as they think. So I did a whole bunch of research, and that's how I kind of end up researching the whole shell rot thing.
Yeah.
One of the number one killers of turtles is shell rot, where it's bacteria that grows within their shell, and that's where I started getting the idea of Worm being like the shell rot, the rot in the shell, something that's kind of wormed its way in there, no pun intended, and it's kind of breaking them down within the inside and corrupting things.
It works so well, I gotta tell you, and for someone whose wife is a biologist, I think she'd really appreciate the hard work and research to make sure it's authentic. So. And you did, Nick, you did point out a good point that I also had here, is that your version of Worm carries a giant mallet, just like the original action figure from 1991. That's such a nice little detail. It even describes him as being a solitary creature, which is the same here as well too. So
there's a weird thing with writing. I realized that. Sorry to cut you off, but there's this one weird thing with writing where you put all this work into something and then it might not ever show up. So even though Worm just says I'm the rot in the shell, you might not know that John researched shell rot and I had this whole metaphor. It might just be when you're reading it, it doesn't come through. And as a person who usually just draws stuff, I'm never too worried about that. But even the mallet thing, me and John were like, well, how would he have a big mallet? Well,
it's crazy how much we reverse engineered that, because starting in the mallet, we had the whole carnival kind of
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of carnival stuff down
there. Talk about creepy.
And the reason why was not just because it was creepy, but that's the only time there's actually ever been a big mallet is when there's that strongman.
Oh, yes.
So that is why he actually has a mallet, because it's down there. But that's kind of lost when you read it. And I even read it, and I forgot we did. I didn't forget it, but there's no way a reader would pick that up. But we put all this because like I said, we started it months and months and months ago, so we had a lot of time to kick around on the side. So there was a reason for everything, but I don't think everything reads that well. I don't know if it's a failure on my part or it's just a limitation of doing it all in one story. But that's
to be honest, I think don't sell yourself short. I have seen a lot of people picking up on all the Easter eggs and things that are in there, and I think one of the things that I really appreciate about that carnival thing is that, as well as the mallet, if you look, all of Worm is just made up of carnival imagery. Like in his eyes, he has one eye is like the little goldfish in the bag he gets as a prize at the carnival, and the other eye is. What's in the other eye again? Is it the duck, the rubber duck?
That's one of those ducks that you pick up and put a number on.
Yeah.
So it's all like carnival trash she's found and junk. But
in the south there's a saw, and you can see like there's a prop saw thing that's going to be dismantled in amongst the carnival stuff.
Yeah. So like even his teeth it's a big saw, but that's actually the saw that a magician at a carnival or at a fair would like saw a woman in half with, but now it's his teeth. So there was like a lot of research done there, but I don't think it's just weird how not everything. I've never been a writer to where I'm like, oh man, my idea didn't come through because I could just draw everything. And so it's the first time I've looked at something I've worked on from a slight writer's perspective, and I'm like, that maybe that doesn't read like we wanted to. I think it all is there and all comes through, but it doesn't necessarily bang and hit you in the face unless you really start looking at all the details.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it might be something like when you watch a movie the first time you watch it, you're watching it, you're enjoying the story, and maybe it's that second time you go through it where you start to pick up on all those Easter eggs. But I'm really glad that you're not only letting me know, but you're letting all the listeners know to keep an eye out for all of these little things, because I was even in the backgrounds of the different shots, especially his lair. I'm looking for all the little bits and pieces in there. So it's really good job. I just gotta say, really good job. It's awesome to hear that you guys took the time to really dot all the I's and cross all the T's, even when the listeners don't always notice that there's T's and I's that need to be crossed and dotted. So Worm has some distinctive text in this version, right? So this is I don't even know if there's an answer to this, but when creating the issue, did you guys imagine a specific sound of him sounding like?
I think it's interesting, because obviously I had that kind of the long S's and stuff, and in terms of what his voice, I maybe imagined a little bit of Gollum in there, or maybe like a little bit like, is it Kaa the snake from the Jungle Book, or some kind of like inhuman sounding thing like that, like some kind of hiss.
Yeah.
Well, right.
I imagine it echoing, and I remember originally John was like, maybe the letters all around or something, but I think you had to kind of put it in a word balloon at some point, So I just remember in my head I always thought it just kind of echoed, or because the worms are kind of everywhere, So yeah.
When you like see Worm and you're trying to imagine him talk, you just have to imagine that every word that he says is not coming like from one set of lungs. It's like words coming from like 1,000 worms in unison.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, that's true. I like that. So I'm guessing something sort of like we can still see you, little turtle. I'm guessing something like that. That's where I'm kind of seeing it. So. That's awesome. Another new character you guys brought in, Officer Maureen Lynn. Do you guys have inspiration on this character?
I think it was just important to have a kind of outside character to kind of like be involved and to act as a kind of agent to kind of mobilize Mikey and give him someone to talk to outside of Worm. And originally, I think the plan had been originally to use Cara Lewis, but then we realised that she was detective now, and she was probably too senior to be kind of wading down in the sewers and missing person searches. So we kind of came up with this new character. We tried to strike the balance of not just having everybody and their mother knowing that the two of the turtles exist now, so still trying to kind of moderate it a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting character design. I gotta say, it's I guess probably a little different looking than any other Turtles character. We you end up seeing that a lot of you'll see characters that are kind of reminiscent of other characters, at least the look. And this character, I haven't seen a character like this in Turtles before. So
after I drew it and look at the first pages with it, I can only see Stewie from Family Guy. I drew a head start. It's like Stewie with hair. I don't know what the fuck I don't know what I was thinking about.
Oh well.
I think it still looks kind of cute though. But now that I see Stewie hair, it's all I can see when I look at it now.
That's funny. So obviously, no spoilers or anything, but I found the details of Worm's biology to be both surprising and yet reminiscent. I don't know if you guys remember from the 2003 animated series, there was a character called Nano. It was a bad guy. And it was supposed to be a bunch of nanobots that would all come together and make a new character. And that character would actually, change and they would try to hit it and parts would fall off and they'd kind of recombine back together. So I don't know if that was an influence or not, or if it's just serendipity, but
I can honestly say I've never seen the 2003 animated series. It's like the 1980s cartoon series. A bus for me. I'm old school.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I just love the idea of something that can shift and move around. They made them more formidable than just another big tank, because we've already had a few big tank characters in the comic series.
There's a few different versions of that type of character with that ability.
Yes.
In every comic book, like Sandman in Spider-Man's universe, or Batman has a clay face.
Yeah.
And they can. I like the idea of also, if he ever shows up again, the reveal can be, another writer can utilize him really well. I don't know if he's dead or not, and no spoilers at the end of the thing, and maybe we don't even know. But later on, he could be as close to humanoid form as possible if he felt like it. It could be a really good reveal after 3 issues of who's the bad guy down the line.
Yeah.
If someone was using
or some politician shows up in the next start, and they really unzip his human suit and all these worms.
And he's just full of worms or something. There's some really good things you can do with a shapeshifter like that, and that's what I was thinking about more than anything. I just looked at him like a Clayface type character. I did just Google the robot character Nano you were talking about. It looks pretty badass.
Yeah,
it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it actually kind of grows up throughout the series. It is one of those monster of the week, and then it's gone, and then it comes back. A season later, and then they defeat it, and then it comes back season later, and it's always changing, but. It works though because it's a bunch of nanobots and they can change how it looks. But it was a fun character, and it even starts off as kind of childish because it's like a kid at first. But anyway, you got to check out the 2003 animated series there, John. It's you can watch them all on YouTube. They're all on there. It's fantastic series. And also, last thing with this issue specifically, I gotta say that was a very nice touch with the balloon popping. I'm not gonna say anything else, but that was a very nice touch with the balloon popping. I thought it was just a nice little. I don't know. It wrapped it up so nicely. So.
Without talking about the specifics and later on and stuff, the balloon idea, I think it was Nick's idea, but I think it's just such a great visual touch, because for me, I thought it's a bit like the alligator in Peter Pan is ticking clock, every time you see the balloon, Worm's near.
Yeah, it was kind of that, and it was easy to do because we had there's so much carnival themed stuff down in the sewer that the balloons kind of work, and the whole end scene kind of needs something there too without giving anything away. So I thought it was just really ridiculous looking, for a single balloon to show up down the sewer, kind of like it. I guess everyone keeps saying that, and I think maybe I subconsciously stole that, but at the time I wasn't really thinking that.
Because that's funny, because I remember the very first teaser image I shared of this book, before I'd even announced I was working on a Turtles comic, I shared in my Facebook picture, I think it was, I wrote "Something is coming," it was a picture of the sewers with the balloon, and everyone was like, OMG, John's doing an It comic, and I was like, what not?
Oh, that's great. Well, so speaking of big plans, what what does the future hold for you guys? Any future collaboration together? Any future TMNT work for you guys?
Well, I've had an absolute blast working with Nick on this, and I know he's highly in demand, but of course, anytime there's an opportunity to work with, I'll take it happily. But in terms of more Turtle stuff, again, like, you know, if the opportunity should arise, I'd happily come back and revive another terrifying old 1980s villain if I can.
Yeah, for me, I hopefully they'll still let me do covers on occasion. I do other work for IDW, and then my main work's at Image. I usually work with Jonathan Hickman. My main book was the Manhattan Projects there, and we're still working together, but I can't say what I'm working on for another long time because I got to get a lot of work done before I can announce anything. So I'll do the occasional Ninja Turtle thing, and if it fits into my schedule, I would love if Bobby would have us back. That would be a blast. Just kind of depends on my schedule and what Bobby has in mind down the line. So yeah.
Awesome.
In Nick's contract that he's only allowed to work with writers whose first name's John.
Well, I know those Bebop and Rocksteady Destroy Everything covers really made a big splash. So a lot of people love those. So
that was a big pain, man. That was 5 covers connecting. It was a nightmare. But it was fun. Those are actually my favorite characters. Before this started, I was like, John, we're either going to do a Bebop and Rocksteady story, or we're going to do our own solo, introduce a new character story. And then they announced the Bebop and Rocksteady thing, so then I was like, all right, we got to do a solo Worm story.
I'm pretty much the same. Before like Bebop and Rocksteady Destroy Everything, and it was announced, like, my dream Turtles gig was to do a Bebop and Rocksteady story. I was like, here's the pitch: Raising Arizona, but with Bebop and Rocksteady. but yeah, like, you know, I just say like then that.
Yeah, John actually wrote like 3 or 4 pitches and pitched me some ideas, and that was one of them. I forgot about that because, like I said, it was almost like a year ago since we were kicking around ideas on this. So yeah.
Wow. Before we finish up, we always do what we call the Great Turtle Power Podcast questionnaire. And so we'll just go back and forth, John and Nick. So to start with, how and when did you become a TMNT fan?
Oh, way back when I was a little kid, 3-4 years old, like back when it was like, I think some of the earliest action figures I got were the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures. Like, unlike Nick, I had all 4 of the Turtles and Shredder. And I played with them a lot, and I remember the cartoon series, and obviously the film was one of the first like films that was huge for me that I watched constantly over and over again. And I remember like seeing the third Turtles movie, the one where they went back in time to feudal Japan or something. That was one of the first films I remember seeing in the cinema as a little kid as well. So yeah, Turtles were big for me when I was young.
Yeah, I was the classic kid that was marketed to with that first cartoon. I love the first cartoon, love Michelangelo party dude thing. Like I said, I got the Michelangelo toy, and I had a neighbor who had like all the toys. And I was it's why I became a comic book artist. So what I tell everyone is I was a big action figure fan. I would always play by myself, and I feel like drawing is just me playing, in my room playing by myself again, but instead of the toys, or I'm drawing the toys this time, So
that's weird. Cool. I never heard you say that, Nick, but I feel the same way about like writing in a certain way when I started my writing, when I came up with elaborate stories with my action figures or something in there.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. Well, I think we just I think, Nick, you answered the next question, which is your favorite character. So John, what is your favorite character?
When I was a kid, my favourite character was Raphael. He was my favourite turtle. Loved him.
That's the correct answer, by the way. You got it right.
But obviously, working on this and reading IDW series, I've gained a new appreciation for Michelangelo, and I also love Bebop and Rocksteady as well.
Yeah, my favorite is favorite character overall is Bebop because of the design. I collect a lot of commission from him, so I love Bebop, and actually why Bobby got me to do the Bebop and Rocksteady covers is I told him that if they ever do anything with Bebop and Rocksteady, because he asked me to do a Crane cover first, I'm like, I'll do it, but if you ever do Bebop and Rocksteady, you better let me do something with it. And so I told him that originally because I love him just as like a crazy bad guy. But I will say this, to tip my hat to Raphael, when he said "damn" in the movie, I liked him. He was like the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, this got real. Oh yeah, no, that line is so simple, and yet it means so much. It hits you right in the chest.
Come back here! I'm not finished with you! Damn!
For me, the scene with Raphael that always got me, and like when I saw it recently, that you watched the movie, it came rushing back. Is the scene with him and Splinter, and they're in the dark and they're sitting by the fire, and like, Raphael and Splinter's like, "I will always be your father" or whatever, and Raphael's listening to him. That was really moving to me. I remember.
My Master Yoshi's first rule was possess the right thinking. Only then can one receive the gifts of strength, knowledge, and peace. I have tried to channel your anger, Raphael, but more remains. Anger clouds the mind. Turned inward, it is an unconquerable enemy. You are unique among your brothers, for you choose to face this enemy alone. But as you face it, do not forget them, and do not forget me. I am here, my son.
Oh, shed a tear, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's see. John, favorite incarnation of the TMNT, whether it's a comic series, an animated series, or a movie, or your favorite incarnation.
Now, this might seem like, pure like beat my own drum or whatever because I'm biased, but I genuinely think the current IDW comic series is maybe the best version of the Turtles. I think they bring all of the different elements, whether it be the movies or like the old comics or the cartoons. They bring the most popular elements of all of them and kind of smash them all together in a new version, which feels kind of like relevant and modern and cool, while also being funny and being true to the spirit of the original. So I would say the IDW comic series.
My favorite is the first movie. It's such a good adaptation of the first like 2 issues of the original Turtles comic.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the new stuff, I don't enjoy the new movie stuff because it's all CGI. That director, I'm sure you guys watched the documentary that came out 2 years ago.
Oh, Turtle Power, I loved it.
Yeah, and talking about like his vision for it and getting that movie done. I don't know. I loved it as a kid. It was magical for me. And then seeing it as a creator or creative type now as an adult, and watching that, it gives me a newfound appreciation for it. So that was like, and I can still watch it today and take it seriously, whereas some of the newer movie stuff, it's a little more corny to me or something. I don't connect with it. I think because it's because it's probably too much CGI now these days. But anyway, so I'm an old person. I like the first movie.
I think both of you guys are definitely in the majority there. Obviously that 1990 movie holds a very special place in every Turtle fan's heart, and I don't think it's being a biased answer at all. This IDW series has been absolutely fantastic, and now that we're expanding into the universe, it just keeps getting better. So both fantastic answers. Let's see. This one's maybe a little tougher. Most underappreciated aspect of the TMNT. Most underappreciated.
I'll let John. You can go with that.
I think maybe one of the more underappreciated aspects of it, and it's shown through to varying degrees in the cartoons, in the comics, in the movies, is that it's actually quite a sad story in a lot of ways, where it's like it's this kind of family of like, it's like 4 turtles and a rat, which should be ridiculous, but they're a family for each other because they don't have anybody else, and then like gradually like they kind of add to that family, like whether it's like Casey or it's April, and it's all about like, it's like idea of family and like the idea like that the outside world is kind of indifferent or outright hostile, and like you have to kind of come together with those that you love, because they'll accept you for who you are, whether you're kind of strange or weird or a giant talking turtle.
For me, I just think what I love about the Turtles that I guess everyone gets it though, so this isn't like a new thing, but I love the idea of 2 guys that sat around and just created like something as a joke, you know. And now it just created this universe that is gonna last, because it's like if I had kids, I'm 34 now, but if I had a kid, he'd be 10, or like my nephews are 10, they love Ninja Turtles too. So you're talking 30 years ago, these two guys sat around and were like, a ninja turtle put some nunchucks in his hand, and they created this incredibly rich universe. But to think that it was just a silly idea that created something that generations of people now love, you know, I think that's a cool thing. I know that, you know, but I don't know if like my nephews know that. You know, they see this marketed machine that is the Turtles now.
Sure.
But the fact that it came from like two people that were just trying to wanted to draw or wanted to make a comic book is just super cool. So it's almost mind blowing. And now, like, you know, they got, you know, different turtle message boards, and people fall on every bit of canon and everything. And, you know, it's because they love the Turtles that much and they care that much. And even us working on it, you know, we had some passion from when we were kids we wanted to bring to it. It just blows my mind that it was just two people sitting down and just being creative together in a living room together, and they created this universe, essentially the seeds of this universe. And I think that's the part that I wish every kid that was 12 knew, you know, like. But that would be my answer.
That's a good one. You know, because you know, Kevin gets asked a lot. You know, did you guys know it was going to be this popular? No, of course they didn't know. But like, I don't even know if they were necessarily trying to do that. They're just lovers of comics, and they kind of almost accidentally made this great this great soup of awesome comic book nerdiness all together, and came up with the Ninja Turtles, and it just works. It just works.
I think that's the key. I think that's why it's been so enduring, because it wasn't kind of self-conscious. And that's why the Turtles has endured, and why like Biker Mice from Mars or Street Sharks or the other things tried to cash in on that audience haven't. It's because the Turtles was just pure. It was earnest. It was pure. It was just pure creativity and just like coming up with like this kind of thing out of thin air just for the fun of doing it.
Well, I also love, I mean, back to the creative type, and to show you that they thought it was probably just the throwaway idea was that they were just spoofing on like Daredevil concepts, you know, like the stick, and like that's really cool. Like most people who know of the Turtles don't know that, you know. If you start saying the foot in the hand and the stick and Splinter, and you talk about Daredevil getting hit, you know, and carrying turtles and stuff. So I think that's a really cool kind of hidden gem that you can tell your average fan. But I think anyone listening to this podcast, you know, they know that. I don't think we're preaching anything to any of your listeners, because I think the people who love Turtles really love them, you know, so they know them in and out. So,
you were mentioning, you know, about the family aspect of the TMNT. That's actually a pretty popular answer, I think, because I think the turtle fans understand that it's not just, you know, four guys beating up, you know, four turtles beating up bad guys, right? There's a deep like family connection there. And that you know, you get that when you read the comics, you know, and you know, the general public doesn't get that, right? And so that's
much about brotherhood and Splinter being their father. It's like it's very much family, you know. It's so much family for sure.
So last of these questionnaire questions, I'll ask you guys the same one I asked Bobby. And what is the your favorite TMNT comic book issue or storyline?
For me, like I don't know the names of the storylines like off by heart or anything, but I actually loved the story, and it was a kind of like weird one, but it felt like in between like two of the big event storylines, and I can't remember the name. It's the name of a place. It's like when all the turtles kind of go off and they leave New York.
Northampton.
Northampton, that's it. And they're all just kind of like licking their wounds and kind of discovering each other and learning. It's a really quiet, low-key arc, but the character work in that is all just so on point. I really love that.
Especially the IDW version, when they did their version of the Northampton, where you got to really see that Mikey is the heart of that family. That he is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, just in terms of how well done.
Yep. What about you, Nick?
I think I recently bought the new, or that's not new, they did it like 4 or 5 years ago, the collected edition of the old stuff, and I kind of like that first one. I'd never read it as a kid, but seeing all the elements that were in the movie, and knowing that I'm just a creator at heart, knowing that this is what these guys sat around and created. I kind of like that first, basically the first movie story arc of the first two with Shredder and the Turtles. I kind of dig that. And I kind of like that Archie Worm one now because it's so weird. I think it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures number 11 or 12. I forget which one it was, but that's really a silly series. But I kind of like how gross, the what's his face, the cockroach character is in that too.
There's Muckman and Joe Eyeball. There's
This has got like the literal cockroach guy. He was like the.
I know who you mean. I can't remember his name offhand.
It's like Worm sucks his guts out in that kid's comic. It's insane to me. So, anyways, I kind of like that. It's kind of insane. But anyway, so I kind of like the original one. It would be my answer probably. My favorite. This is the first issue. I dig that one the most.
Yeah, you and I are the same. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I kind of gravitate towards artists, and I got to say, Santa Luca's awesome. I love Sophie Campbell's stuff. There's a lot of really good artists on the new run that I really enjoy.
Santa Luca is like, I really discovered him and came to appreciate him through his Turtle stuff, and he is like one of the best artists working today, and his stuff in Turtles has been stunning.
Yeah, he's crazy good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Scumbug, that's the one we were thinking of.
That was it.
Scumbug.
Yes.
I was thinking Shockroach because I knew it was like some kind of pun on but no, you're right.
No, Santa Logo. He's that's one talented dude right there. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You and I, Nick, are the same age. I'm also 34, and so I also did not. The Mirage series was not my initial experience to the Turtles either. And it was later on in my life that I got to really dig into those copies, dig into those issues, and really make that kind of overall big picture connection to the original Turtles. So, I'm right there with you. Let's see, where can people get in touch with you guys? I assume a lot of our listeners are going to want to say hi and everything, and maybe ask you questions about the issues. So, is there somewhere online where people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can get me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at JohnLees927. Or you can find my website, which is johnleescomics.com, and I've got a mailing list there. You can always contact me through that. Or you can also check out my new comic, Sync. You can go to sync.comicstribe.com and sign up to that, and you'll get sent a free copy of that. And I send out regular updates through that as well. So lots of ways to get in touch with me if you want.
For me, it's just Nick Pitarra, my name, on Twitter at Nick Pitarra, or you can friend me on Facebook, Nick Pitarra also. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, and we'll put links to all that in the show notes as well for everybody. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for reaching out and coming onto the show. Next time we talk to Kevin, we'll put in a good word for you guys.
Thank you so much for hosting this.
Yeah, thanks for the thoughtful interview and the great questions and everything. I really appreciate your time and having us on.
Oh, my pleasure. And everyone out there, make sure you go pick up a copy of this fantastic issue. I almost said episode one more time. Oh my god!
You said issue, you did it. Congratulations, you got it.
Do you guys care? I kind of go back and forth, digital, hard copy. Are you guys digital, hard copy guys? Either way.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Oh, there you are. Yep. Okay, great. Oh yeah, I think we got a little lag there. No worries.
I was talking about new comics, Mel. That was the last thing.
No worries. Do you guys do hard copies of issues, or are you guys digital, or when you guys read?
I buy a single issue, and if I like it, then I wait for the trade. So that's what kind of I like seeing the single issues.
Okay.
I like getting out. I work from home, so like if I had a busier lifestyle where I actually had a day job instead of sitting in my house all day working, I might go digital. But for me, it's a treat to get out of the house and go to the comic book shop and check out what's new and stuff. So I still enjoy the brick and mortar stores quite a bit. But digital, I definitely picked up digital before when the shop's out or whatever. I'm not opposed to digital at all. So either way.
Yeah. I'm kind of similar to Nick, where like obviously like I think digital has value, and if there's a good sale on Comixology or whatever, yeah, I'll go through that. But for me, there's no real substitute for print. I mean, I love going to my comic shop, and for me, I don't even have a pull list. For me, I love going and like browsing through the racks of like the new comic releases, and picking out my favourites and things. I just love that whole experience and holding the book in your hand and like kind of filling the pages and stuff. That for me is like, the physical product is such an aspect of it for me.
Hey, John, I'm the exact same way. I've never had a pull list. I love going and just finding stuff, or, oh, this is out now, or you know what I mean?
Like, and it always gives you the chance to find something you didn't know would be there if you're looking through the shelves.
Yeah, I think it would be a nightmare just to go. I know comic book stores don't like this. I wouldn't want to just go get the stack I pre-ordered, I like to browse. I like to spend like an hour in the shop. And they probably think I'm stealing stuff, It's taking so long.
I'm totally the same.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you again for coming on the show, and we'll hope to see you guys in the Turtle multiverse once again.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Take care.
All right, bye. Once again, thank you so much to Nick and John for coming on the show and sharing with us that amazing experience to be able to join the TMNT Comics universe. Song of the show this week is an oldie but a goldie. This is Shell Shocked over on OC Remix. Yes, you remember these fat tracks. Oh yeah, this is gonna be track 4, Trail Dust and Turtle Wax, arranged by Viking Guitar, and the source, of course, is Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee. Stage 7 background music from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4. Turtles in Time. Oh, love this. So, for myself and Darby and Alex, I know they couldn't be here this week. We miss them, but they live on in our hearts forever. And I'm sure they'll be back next episode. With that, we'll talk to you next time.
Hey guys, make sure to check us out on our official website, www.TurtlePowerPodcast.com.
Also, follow us on Twitter at TMNT Podcast.
You can follow me, Ryan, at FigDonPat.
Follow me, Alex, at arodriguez2005.
Follow me, Darby, at Darby T. Patton.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/TurtlePowerPodcast.
Make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/TurtlePowerPodcast.
And also share your feedback with us via old-fashioned email, turtlepowerpodcast@gmail.com.
Subscribe and rate us on iTunes.
And don't forget to subscribe and listen on Stitcher.